Okay, so let's have a motion for the meeting of the Scituate Board of Health for Monday, May 23rd at 6 p.m. a Zoom. Meeting called to order, acceptance of agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so Karen, how do you vote?
Yay.
And Kelly?
Yes.
And Doug votes yes. All right, so scheduled items, discuss and vote design hearing for 5 Williamsburg Lane, Morse Engineering represented homeowner request of installation of septic system requiring local upgrades and variants. So is someone from Morse on?
Yes, this is Greg Morse. Good
Hey,
evening.
Greg.
Hi. Yep. For the record, Gregory Morse. I'm a registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the property owner at this case, which is Kenton Bonger Zone. The property is located at 5 Williamsburg Lane. It's an undeveloped piece of property at the corner of Williamsburg Lane and Country Way. This is a vacant lot that was originally created in 1956 when the Williamsburg Lane subdivision was laid out. In 1970, the lot was changed with respect to a drainage easement that Mr. Bonger's own granted to the town of Scituate. And the lot has remained unbuilt upon up until this time. We are applying for a septic system design to construct a 3-bedroom home at the property. The property is entirely upland land area. It's a little over ½ an acre in size. What puts me before the board tonight is this property does require a variance from Title V. The variance is specifically in reference to 310 CMR 15-211, which is the setback from the septic system to a tributary to a public drinking water supply. The tributary in this case is an intermittent stream, and it literally is the drainage outfall pipe from a catch basin on Country Way. The proposal here is to site the new septic system a minimum distance of 110 feet away from that intermittent stream. What we've proposed is an enhanced denitrification fast system to ensure an equal level of environmental protection as if the variants were not necessary at this location. DEP typically requires a 200-foot setback, but they allow an applicant to waive it down to a minimum of 100 feet if it's found that enforcement of the provisions of Title V would be considered manifestly unjust, and if equal environmental protection can be achieved. In this case here, we feel that enforcement of the 200-foot setback would be manifestly unjust for the simple fact that this lot was laid out prior to Title V being in existence. This lot is a lot that you could not achieve a 200-foot setback anywhere on the property. Denial of the variance would render the entire property useless. It's been in the Bonger Zone family since this lot was created. They've paid taxes on it in excess of 50 years. And that the applicant has proposed a septic system that meets the environmental equivalent standard by proposing the denitrification fast system. Again, it complies with a distance of 110 feet from the septic system to the drinking water supply. It is bordered on all sides by developed residential properties that do not have septic system treatment on it. So this would be receiving septic treatment, again, where none of the abutting properties have it. The Board of Health did review this variance previously. I believe it was back in 2014, and voted in favor of approving the variance and approving the septic system design. Since that time, the project did not move forward for a multitude of reasons, but that plan has since expired. This is essentially the same plan and the same variance that was approved previously by this board. There have been no changes in the regulations or in Title V requirements since the previous approval. I turn it over to you.
All right, Joan, any issues, or did we have to get?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
So why would you pick the fast instead of the singular system in this particular case?
Sure. So in this particular case, I went with the fast because the fast is approved by the DEP for denitrification, where the singular system is not.
Okay. Okay. And my other, okay, so in reviewing the file, it looks like the board approved this variance in March of 2015.
Okay.
And then in May of 2015, and then I guess DEP got involved. And in May of 2015, we received an email from Bruce Bauck, B-O-U-C-K, from the state that indicates that a septic systems are not allowed in a state-regulated zone A. And so I think there was a request in 2018 for an extension on the permit, and the previous agent, Jen Keefe, did not allow it, and we're assuming that this was probably why. So we would just ask the board if they could continue so that we could reach out to DEP about this. So because the whole entire property is in a zone A.
Okay. So Mr. Bauk is a hydrogeologist with the DEP. There was a question at the time on the physical location of where the tributary was. He did do a site visit and confirmed the location of that tributary back then. I'd refer you directly to 15.410 of the regulations, which specifically states that the local board of health may issue variances of any provisions. It does go on to continue that the only case where you can't issue a variance is when there's less than 4 feet of naturally occurring soil. 15.4115, which I cite in my correspondence to you, Joan, discusses setbacks to tributaries, and it says that in a case such as this, the board can approve it as long as there's a minimum setback of 100 feet. We've proposed a setback of 110 feet. So I believe you have the information necessary in this case.
Okay, well, we still want to make sure that we're, it's going to be allowed. So, I mean, that's just our recommendation to the board, that it table till we can get some more information on it. I get what you're saying about Title V. It's just a question as to whether or not the state will allow it.
It's clear that it is allowed in the regulations.
It kind of sounds like we have enough questions. Like, I think a continuance is probably not a bad idea. Let's get all our ducks in a row here. It's not a no, but just getting more information together. So I think I'll make a motion to continue the decision until we have all the information that we need.
Do we need to read that whole thing of what they're looking for, Joan?
Yep, I sent you you can just continue from what I sent to you for what.
Do you have that, Karen?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'll move to continue the septic repair plan following variance requested.
Okay.
One is to request for the reduction of the 200 feet required setback from a water supply tributary to the SAS into the tank to 100-foot setback from a tributary to the SAS and the tank. Again, it's also pending Conservation Commission and Zoning Board approval, which we may have those decisions when we get all the other information by then as well. So, second, anyone?
Second.
Okay, so Karen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
And Doug votes yes on that. Joan, do we need to also get things from people that border, or did we already get reply cards?
Greg, do you have all the abutter cards for the?
Yes, the butters were notified of the
Okay,
hearing.
we just need the abutter
Could I-
cards emailed
could
to
I-
us. Be great.
Sure. Could I get a list from the Board of Health of outstanding questions or issues on this? We submitted this a month ago, and tonight's the first night that I've heard of any outstanding questions or
Yeah, we've
requests
just been-
for DEP comments. I really would have loved to have reached out to DEP and gotten that, not to waste your time, but if there's any outstanding issues that I could address before the next meeting, I'd appreciate the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, well, make sure you get the list.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, discuss and vote 98 Crescent owner seeking a variance request for Scituate private well regulations. Is there?
Okay. I don't know if the homeowner is on the line.
This is Brian Taylor from Stenbeck and Taylor, the agent of the owner.
Okay. So why don't you let the board know what your request is?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. On behalf of our client, Mr. Bill Shields, we're respectfully requesting a variance from section 8.13 of the Scituate well regulations to permit an irrigation well that has a sodium, we had it tested, and it has a sodium level of 26.99 milligrams per liter, which is above that of the requirement of 20 milligrams per liter as expressed in table 2 of your regulations. We do note the property is served by, it's a single family residence, and it's served by town supplied domestic water. So this would be only for irrigation. And we would hope that the board would find that this to not receive the variance would be manifestly unjust, so that Mr. Shields would be able to enjoy the same use of his landscaping irrigation well as other people in the neighborhood. He's on Second Cliff, and I would guess that everything down there probably has elevated sodium at the bottom of the hill.
And Brian, sorry, can you just state your name and company and stuff?
Yes, forgive me, Brian Taylor, Stenbeck and Taylor Incorporated, Surveyors and Engineers in Marshfield.
Joan, do we have anything on that?
No, sodium was a little high. It's 26.99. Our reg says 20 mgs. So, no, you've issued variances for high sodium in the past, so we don't have an issue with it.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion?
Sure, I can. I move to approve the requested variance from the water quality requirements for sodium at 26.99 in excess of 20 milligrams.
One second.
All right, and Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Karen?
Yeah.
And Doug votes yes. So I guess you're set, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, discuss and vote 628 Hadley Road, owner seeking a variance of request for Scituate private well regulations. Is there anyone on for 628? If they could state their name.
Yes, this is Kenneth Michaud, 628 Hadley Road. I am the homeowner.
Okay. All right, and
So they're asking for a variance for sodium, iron, and magnesium. Manganese.
okay.
Manganese.
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 All right. Anyone have any questions or anything like that?
Is this landscaping only use as well?
Yes, this is just for landscaping purposes. We're on town water also for drinking water.
Okay.
Yeah, the three of them are a little higher than what we require for lab tests. But we don't think it's going to affect public health with these 3 items if it's used for irrigation, so we're okay with it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the requested variance for the water quality requirements for the town of Scituate private well regulation for sodium, iron, and manganese.
Okay, second. All right, and Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
And Doug votes yes. So I think you were all set.
Great.
But I don't know why you need irrigation with a picture like that on the, you
I
know.
know. I know. As you can see, it's Dale's computer, so mine is not quite as good.
All right, well, you have a great night.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay. Yep. New business. Anyone have any new business? Okay. Old business, Drew?
Old business, we did receive a letter from the attorney for 126, 132 Chief Justice Cushing Highway project. It is the Herringbrook Meadow, and they have withdrawn their request for an irrigation well without prejudice. So I sent copies of the letter to all the board members, just so you know that they will not be coming before us in the future at all, that they have withdrawn the request. So that is all the old business that we have.
Okay, Drew, a question. Do we have to see if there was anyone on about that? Or, you know, I don't know if there was any guests that might have knew were on last time.
Oh, no, we don't have to notify anybody, just by us notifying right here on the agenda. And by them not being on the agenda in the future,
Okay.
people will know that it's not on there.
All right, I didn't know if there was, we had to check to see if someone was in the waiting room or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, we're all set with that.
all right. Next thing would be director's report.
So in the director's report, we have 16 plans under 45-day review, 8 waiting engineer revisions. We have 6 waiting Concom review, and we have 27 in failure. COVID numbers for the state right now, we have 74 individuals in the ICU. We have 24 that have been intubated. The state number percentage right now is 8.11% is coming back positive. Scituate, we're at 8.80. We did have a glitch in the Maven system. Since Wednesday, we have not been able to gain access to it. We have been working with the state. I guess the password that we're using right now, they're saying that it's an invalid password. So we're working with, I believe it's Virtual Gateway and the state to figure out how we can get these additional numbers. Last week, after Wednesday, we had 17 cases. And the week before that, we had 54. Our 17 stops at Wednesday. So we don't have numbers for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So that's basically where we are right now. I know occasionally our numbers don't match up with some of the numbers that they get from the schools. You know, sometimes they're going to be off a little bit. I'm not sure. I know you guys count some home tests too, Kelly.
Yeah, so home tests aren't counted in the state reports.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference.
That's through DESI, and
Correct.
we're all a little bit separate, and we're only confirmed laboratory cases through the Maven system. So that's where we
I
are.
think too, like the trends are the most important thing anyway, you know,
Yeah.
as far as the raw numbers. So as long as we're watching the trends and understand that.
And, right now, the guidance is that if you are positive and if you've tested positive, you're home for 5 days. If symptoms have subsided, you can come back to work on day 6, wearing a mask through day 10, and then you'll be all set. So that's right now, those are the guidelines that we're following within, the town. I talk with Kelly all the time about school and what's going on over there. So that's what's going on there. I would like to thank Maura down at the Parks Department. All of the beach mats are out, and we're going to be starting our beach water testing with GNL Lab, and I believe it is the 3rd week in June.
Yep,
No?
June 21st, I think, will be our first test.
So June 21st will be our first test, and we'll test through Labor Day. We also have several swimming pools lined up for next week. Everybody always waits to the last week so that they're getting ready for Memorial Day. So we have several pools lined up for next week as well. And other than that, I believe that is it.
Okay,
Oh, I think we're having the mammography van on June 7th.
What is it?
The mammography van,
Oh.
Dana, if I remember, June 7th, I think it's planning on being here.
Right across at the church, right across from town. hall.
Correct.
okay,
There you go.
all right. Board of Health meeting minutes for May 9th, I believe it was. I didn't see any corrections. I don't know.
I didn't either.
Me either. So I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay, second.
Second,
And okay, Karen, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Kelly?
yes.
And Doug votes yes. And then I guess it's just administrative invoice approvals.
We have two invoices for perk test, one for 280 and one for 210, and that is it.
Okay, do we have to do a motion, right?
Yeah, motion to sign.
Okay,
Motion to sign invoices, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Second,
and Karen, how do you vote?
yes.
And Kelly?
Yes.
And Doug votes yes. All right.
Notice how my right arm has not started moving yet until we had the 3 votes.
All right, well, now we can see that you actually did it. All right, so other than that, make a motion to adjourn the Scituate Board of Health meeting for Monday, May 23rd, Zoom call. Do I
I'll
have a
second.
All right, so Kelly, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Karen
Yes.
and Doug votes yes. I hope everyone has a safe Memorial Day weekend.